Hello, gorgeous folks. This is Darice. Welcome back to Moonlife Astro. And today I wanted to do a follow-up conversation to this eclipse season. I've been having conversations with a few close friends. There have been some major transformations for people. And this week in particular, it's really come to the surface to people what's not working for them, what needs to change. And even if you're not ready to make a major change this week, this month, next month, first of all, it's important to just acknowledge it because we are at a space and time where, especially if you are a light worker, light bringer, an empath, a creative, an artist type, you're really sensitive to the energies and you're probably really feeling a lot these days or have been feeling a lot during this eclipse season, the last few weeks. And a big part of that is that, like I mentioned in earlier videos, we are transitioning from one eclipse series to another eclipse series, which will begin in February. So we're closing out the last 18 to 24 months, and we're about to enter a new cycle that will officially begin in February 2026, that will go through 2028. So it's probably come to your attention in the last week or the last 2 weeks in particular what needs to change, what you do not want to carry from the last year and a half or so into the next 2 years. And even if you can only make small changes, that's enough to acknowledge to yourself right now. For example, maybe you want to quit your job, but you don't have the finances to do that. You need the health insurance. Well, you can at least begin to map out an exit strategy, a plan for how you leave that job, or maybe you want to make a completely new pivot in your business. You can at least begin to outline what that looks like. And then what's a small step that you can take each week to making that happen? For some of us, it may just be setting aside more downtime. Maybe you need just 4 hours a week where you have nothing planned, nothing structured. And I really encourage a lot of people to do this in particular because our Western culture, especially if you're in the United States, we have been conditioned to always be on the go, to always be moving, to always be trying to figure something out. And we're at a stage where we can't really solve all of our problems just with our mind. It's becoming more and more important, especially if you're really sensitive to the energy changes that are happening right now on the planet. I've mentioned this in a few of my videos where I really personally believe that we are becoming a new human. Our DNA is changing. We're receiving more light and support from our spirit guides, the divine, our healed ancestors. So our physical bodies are actually changing, which of course impacts our thinking, our feelings, just how we experience everything. And a big key part of that transformation is actually getting out of the mental gymnastics that we do very often and being more about really being in the moment, being present. Because when we're in the moment, when we can connect with what our body wants in that moment, in that now, we have more answers, we have more wisdom that we have access to. And for many of us, and you may be feeling this call, your soul's calling, that whatever is uncomfortable for you, you can no longer compromise on. You can no longer say, I can just settle and live with this for the next year or 2 years. 6 months may be the max you can handle it, like physically, like your body is like, I cannot stay in this business or this job or this relationship, longer than that. And if that's what you're feeling, honor that. This is a way that you can say yes and show up for yourself. And that is one of the biggest lessons of this particular eclipse series. And what you do between now and next February is going to be setting the foundation for what the next 2 years is going to look like from 2026 to 2028. So maybe this weekend, next week, the next couple of weeks, give yourself permission to really map it out, to really look at what you want to commit to over these next 6 months and what you want to release. And be honest, be ruthlessly honest with yourself. Even if you're not in a position to talk it out loud with someone else, even if you're not ready to say it out loud to someone else, at least begin to have the conversation with yourself. And, feel free to talk to the divine about it. I'm encouraging people, to strengthen those relationships, with their spiritual guides, with their healed ancestors, pray to those people, ask them to show you signs, gifts, in your journaling, ask for a sign, that kind of thing. Because we need more and more of us who are feeling this change. I mean, I personally believe all of humanity is changing, our DNA is expanding. But if you're a light bringer, a healer, an artist, a empath, you're feeling it probably more strongly. And that's part of our soul contract as leaders on the planet, is to embody the change so that we can then help others move through that change as well. But it first starts with giving yourself permission to be happy, to say, I have permission to live a life that I love, to really be willing to thrive. And a big piece of that is simply being present. And I had a conversation with a really good friend the last couple of days where a lot of these themes were coming to the surface for her. And I realized it would probably be a really good idea to do a video as well, because I know she's not alone in feeling this. And so hopefully that makes sense to you. Hopefully it resonates for you. And if it does, please let me know in the comments below, especially if you made it this far. You can just simply say resonate in the comments. I also want to take the time to ask you to like the video, subscribe to the channel. And also, I also wanted to invite you to my Skool membership, where I'm going to be talking about these themes, other things related to astrology as well. And it's just $9 a month or $50 for the year. I have a weekly Q&A where we can just have these conversations. And I really am desiring to create a community where people get support as we go through these changes and transitions. Hopefully, this was helpful and supportive to you. I want to wish you much love, support, peace, and joy. Easefully yours, Darice.